It's turn 8 of Leningrad from Decision Games, and the Germans need to make sure they can get 41st Corps back in supply. It's going to be key to finishing these guys off. So we're going to have to move these up as quickly as possible while making sure we don't let these guys cut a supply here. Moving on to the next roadblock with the 56th Corps and its infantry division is supporting along here. And that's about it really. Let's get straight on to movement. No reinforcements now for the Germans till turn 10 when we get another mechanized corps, the 39th, so that helps us get the last punch into Leningrad. We've got our 2 air units, so we can bump up any attack even if it looks a bit weak, or we're worried about it being weak. So I'll come back after I've moved up. So that's the end of German movement. We've moved up and given a supply route to the 41st, so it's back to full effectiveness. We moved up as far as we can to attack this fort here. I've managed to move a number of divisions through the woods, so we've got a chance of outflanking the defences and going through this gap here. Screening as before, and my last division is coming along the road. He'll catch up eventually. So on to the attacks. The real question for the Germans is, do we try and push this one? They're in a fort now, they're in the woods, the armor bonus won't count, so it's a -1 shift as we start, and there's 3 units in it. So it could hit some unfortunate odds, but is it worth the risk? I'll have to think. The rest, these need to be attacked, these need to be attacked, and away we go. So back in a minute with the odds. Right, it's going to be slightly more complicated this time. I need to understand the effect of this attack first before I decide what to do down here. Excuse me. The thinking is, if I can eliminate and tie up the forces up here, then it's going to be worth having an attack with the Stukas trying to eliminate the other advantages of the woods, because turn 8 is the current time of the Soviet counterattack. I won't attack here. If I attack here, that's going to mean if I'm moved up, he can't move out straight into other zones of control, so he's going to be largely immobilised. I've got a couple of infantry divisions coming on here. I've got 6 that are going to come up through here, but they won't be able to attack this go. There's nothing going to be in range, so that leaves me with 2 more infantry coming down here. Again, will be out of range. 1 more armoured unit. So actually, assuming I eliminate a fair pile of these, and these can't attack, probably the best I can be attacked with is about 4 units. I'll still have my core bonus, and it's still 29 factors, so they're going to be hard pushed to get anywhere near some decent assault. So once I've got a retreat path, then I'm going to be good. So it's all going to depend on whether I can tie these troops up now up here. So that was a 51-6 up here. Unfortunately for the Soviets, it was a very weak infantry division that turned up. So they get bonus for the armour and the fort, but there's still the core bonus. That's only a 8-1 turns into a 7-1, and as a result of that, a 5 eliminated. That's exactly what I wanted, if I'm not for the Germans at least. And it's hard to not really feel like you are the Germans here, because the Soviets are so sort of reactive. You feel like you're the one having to push along, and also it's very, very hard generally for the Germans to win, although this is looking like they might get a rare success here. That allows us to advance in, and he is going to be well, actually, what have we got here? Just one unit. He will potentially be able to disengage and come down here. Nothing I can do about that, but the Germans are feeling the tide is going in their favour, so we're going to launch this attack here. So what have we got? Let's do this on camera. We knew we had the 2, another 2 and a 3, 4, 7. So 29 to 7 is a 4 to 1. The fort and the woods make it a 2 to 1. Stukas move it back up to a 4 to 1, and I've got my core bonus to make it a 5 to 1. We need to avoid a 1 or a 2 here. Again, a 3, defenders back 1. Not really what I was hoping for. They're going to split up to maximise my chance of holding Leningrad. Now, can I help myself here in terms of the attacks that are going to come? Those are pretty weak. 2 more coming in there, so that's the maximum. I'm going to have 3, 4 there. I'm going to advance. Need to pin these. These aren't going to be able to get anywhere quickly. They're going to have to come out through the marsh and round, or are they? 3. It's 3 for assault, 4 a armour mechanized. He couldn't get back in time, so no, I'm going to plough on. Actually, no, sorry, big mistake. I'm not going to. That would have put me out of supply. I don't need to give them another 2 shifts. So what I was thinking of there's no way I could actually, no, he'd be surrounded by zones of control. He's going to have to stay there, so a bit anticlimactic, but it will make it easier for moving up next time. That's the end of the German phase. We've used all our air. Onto the Soviets. The Soviet part of turn 8, and frustratingly, this is our surprise attack turn, where we get the 4 shifts, and I'm not really sure we're going to be able to do much to actually take advantage of this. I really, the units I know I've got from a strength are very weak, and in the end it all comes down to holding Leningrad, so I think I'm still going to have to resort to blocking, which is frustrating, but better strategy in the long run, I think, than throwing away units away in a big counterattack, given that the only area I really could attack are these stacks up here, and they're just simply too powerful. They'll be able to retreat, and if I could surround them it would be a different matter, but I can't see any way of doing that. So I still think we can hold out. We just need to keep throwing our valiant defenders at this problem. So I get a lot of reinforcements coming in from the east here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep, 6 new infantry divisions which will come in. So these will move up as quickly as they can. Now these are in, this can fall back. That's 5 to there, 3 plus a 2, and then 7. I need to extricate that armour as well. It's going to be more use, giving myself a bonus for the final defence. It's going to be a slow job because it's 3 + 3 is 6, so he splashes off into the swamp. But that will be able to feed up next time. The Germans are going to have to work out how to hold that up. The one Mother Beckoner's unit comes on into here. That's going to go straight in to here, and then we're going to need to move some defence just to stop any chance of people slipping through here. So we'll move him bravely off into the woods. He's got the best defence value. Shuffle these two about. Actually, I forgot, I've gone straight to movement. I forgot to place my last 2 forts. They will go there, and I think it's going to make my stand here, so I'm going to put another fort on the road here, which at least if they get to just a one retreat, we can fall back to. And the final set of reinforcements coming in again from our northern front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So plenty of service on the scene now. Because of the number of forces I've got, I really can't do any attacks, which is frustrating. But that's discretion is the better part of valor, I think. In this case, we're going to hold it there and move on to turn 9. Turn 8 of Leningrad, and I think this could well be one of the decisive turns. If the Germans don't get next to Leningrad this turn, maybe they can just about do it next turn, but I think we really need to be this turn where we're not going to be able to take those hexes. We're going to take a number of goes battering away at them. So we need to go all out to do this. Key to it is going to be moving this unit, removing these, and then seeing if we can push this back and actually move up this time. I think if we can clear these out, move these up, we can stay in supply, which will be key, and take those out. So we're going to need to maneuver everybody up for the maximum attacks on each of those. We need to try and keep pinning these. We can't stop these getting in, but if we could get to there, we can slow them down. And similarly, we can start to pin some of these guys. So that's going to be the objective in the movement phase. I'll come back after we've done that. So that's the end of the German movement, and we've moved up to surround everyone here in the north, or close up. I almost made an error as the Germans. I'd had the stacks here and here, and actually I was going to leave the motorised corps on the road, but actually these couldn't get there because of the fort in there. It was an extra 2, in fact I should eliminate it. So they couldn't actually make it in there, but fortunately by disengaging and moving up, this could, but it's left it in the woods, which is not ideal. But I've now got 2 full-on attacks up here. Got the maximum attack we can get on here. This is going to be key, as we talked about. And I also moved up some of these divisions to try and pin these. It's going to be slow for them to move away. And the last chance for it, so it's to go on down here, is his turn. So we've kept our screen there for the last turn, and then they'll move up as well. Okay, so let's calculate the odds of the attacks and come back with those. So let's take it from the north. Two simple attacks, 47 to 3, even with all the fort and everything. It's still 10-1, so we'd want a 1 if we're Soviets, everything else if we're Germans, it's a 4. So those are eliminated, and we get those onto the road again. Somebody down here, 10-1. Actually, the advantage now is he's dead, whatever, because he cannot retreat anywhere other than the zone of control. So he's gone, and we falling apart. Advances stack up into there as well. Well, we'll do this back here. We've ended up with a bit of a tough nut here. He's 4, and we've got 38 against him. So we've got 9-1, but the fort and the swamp make it a 7-1. So Germans want 5 or 6. They get a 2, which is a 1 retreat. So he lives to fight another day. Actually, no, he doesn't. So actually, this negates. Yeah, this negates zone of control. So he does. In he goes, and we will advance this corps into the fort, eliminating it, protecting us on that road. So this was the key attack, and we seem to be turned out some decent units. Excuse me, there's a phone going again. Don't you just hate cold callers, particularly at such a climactic moment? Although I don't think this is going to be quite what the Germans hoped for. So we've turned up a 3, 2 and a 1, but with 6 makes it a 4-1. Got a fort, we've got a woods, they're cancelled out by the Stukas, so the best we can do with the core bonus is move that up to a 5-1, but that's not going to eliminate them. In fact, the best I can hope for here is 2, and a 1 or 2 is going to leave us with some casualties ourselves. It does. It's a 1 each, so Russians can be quite brutal here. I'm just going to take that loss of the weakest defensive unit and stay where we are. And that is what the Germans can't retreat. I've stuck them up, but I didn't really want to anyway, so I'm going to have to take my first hit. That's 3 points by reducing it to there. So 3, 4, 5 so far we've taken in terms of casualties. We're going to need to capture 1 hex just to draw even, so we're still within our budget if you can capture both. So all successful apart from the one we really mattered. How are the Soviets going to respond? Let's see that next. So the Soviet half of turn 9, and I think this may be the time where they seal off Leningrad. We've got all these reinforcements coming in. We basically just need to fill these hexes up with units, and although it's going to be bloody, it'll hold the Germans out. So let's do that. We've actually got enough to do that off camera, I think, this time, and I'll come back and tell you where I've loaded them up back in a moment. So there you have it, a wall of Soviet bodies in front of Leningrad. The strategy I've taken is to mix the revealed units with the untested, just to keep the Germans guessing. But basically the 3 in here, they're going to be hard pushed to get an eliminator, which means I can, if it's a 2, I can just take a loss and hold them out. The rest, 3 more divisions have come on this way, and 1 more. From now on it's just 2 more in Leningrad, but I can just keep stacking them up here. If I can keep these hexes at 3 each, it's almost impossible for the Germans to get a good enough odds they really need to be able to attack with 3 hexes to get an elimination chance. So I can just keep taking the losses and then keep replenishing them. I'm going to hold these down here because this holds this flank and ties these up this time. So that's pretty pleased with that as the Soviets. Let's ponder what we can do with that in the Germans as they start their turn 10.